Hey everybody, it's Nate with Big Haw Homestead, and this is it. This is the say goodbye to my tomatoes session. I'm gonna pick everything I can off of here, haul them over to where I dump the tomatoes, and then that will finish that out for the season. I've got some pumpkins and stuff. Maybe I'll share that at the end of the video. Still got a lot of peppers. Got those little green beans that are growing there that maybe will produce before the first freeze, but I don't think it's gonna get very lucky this year because it's been pretty cold. So let's get to it. This is kind of one of the sad things. I like doing the gardening. I like having it here and being able to grow stuff and eat the vegetables as they grow. But every season the garden's gotta go. Well, it does give me a break for the winter. That is a nice thing. It's a time of rest for the gardening. But next year is going to be bigger and better and have a lot more food to produce out of it. We don't have too many tomatoes left here, so the box you see is way bigger than it needs to be. But we're getting anything that's green pretty much coming off of here. Maybe I'll make some fried green tomatoes. Oh, that's a chicken tomato. That was a big one too. Something got it. It's crazy is one of these plants are actually still producing some on the ends here, but they're just not, I'm not going to maintain them enough. I don't really want to deal with them, and they don't get as healthy. Chicken tomatoes. So it comes down to a point where they're just not worth trying to keep up with, especially with the cooler weather. Nights now are consistently in the 40s here, upper 40s, but still it's getting in the 40s. Well, last night, this morning, it was 42 degrees. So that's why I think we're going to have a pretty wild winter this year here, especially if that Arctic air drifts down here. But I love it. I love the winter. It's just a different time, do different projects. Like I said, it gives me a break from the garden side of things. So I'm gonna go ahead and hyperlapse this part. We're gonna cut it, rip it out, and haul it over to the spot over there. So all right, so I'm gonna stop here because I wanted to point out something. So I've used this stuff for the last couple years. It's your nylon type rope. You would use it for squaring foundations, masonry type work. Thank goodness for other YouTubers out there where I was introduced to wool. So I've already bought next year's. It's all wool. And the nice thing with the wool is I wouldn't have to go through here and fish out all this particular line. I can actually then just take the tomatoes and the twine, because it's made out of wool, which is completely biodegradable, and throw it in my pile and just let it go back to the earth. This is a lot of waste. While it's strong, while it does last for the season, to me it's just so wasteful, and I can't do anything to this but put it in the trash. So that would be my thing. So you can switch to nice wool twine. You don't have to deal with pulling this out. So let's get on to pulling it out. All right, so now I'm just gonna grab this and haul it over to my dump pile. Chickens will eat the tomatoes. They don't really touch the plant. I know it's a native of, was it nightshade, and they're not supposed to have it. They don't really eat the leaves. They do love the tomatoes off of it. So chickens are a little smarter than we give them credit for. They're not trying to kill themselves. So do it at your own risk, but so far it's been good. However, I am not growing another darn cherry tomato ever again. I'm done with them. They're banned from the garden. They ripen too quick. There's too many of them, and then there's just going to be tons of them growing in here. And the only ones I grew this year were from last year's that grew in here. I didn't even, these were volunteers. They ended up coming up in the garden, and I was like, oh, well, we'll save them. And I told myself, no cherry tomatoes. So you hear me now, I'm saying it. No cherry tomatoes next year. We don't want them. All right, so now let's get ripping the plants out. All right, where do we stand with the garden? Some of the mini, from pulling the heads off, got some of the little mini cabbages. These guys have had it. So I got a few squash on there. I'm just letting them grow for decorative squash at this point. We've got the pumpkins, and sure there's some good ones in here if I can get to them. Oh, there's a critter in there. So here's a couple more pumpkins down here, 2 more pumpkins over there, and there's probably about a half a dozen or so butternut squash in there. Butternut squash did not do as good as last year, but I mean, I don't know what it is. Clearly you can tell there's something going on with my my patch here, and hopefully we get them all to ripen here. So. But we'll turn the pumpkins into puree, can them, so we can make pumpkin bread, pumpkin pie, you name it. But all the tomatoes are gone there. I'm gonna grab my trimmer, and I'm just gonna go ahead and cut all the stupid stuff down. And we're just sunsetting the garden a little bit, my little bit here. Like I was saying here, we definitely have, the peppers are still going, but you know, it's later in the season. They like a little bit of cool weather, not the super hot weather. So we're gonna have to find out what to do with those too. I do want to cut them this year and try to preserve them so that I can put them in next year and they'll kind of be at a head start. And you'll see all the green beans. They say 60 to 90 days. I don't know if they're gonna get it to actually seed. My first freeze, they'll basically be dead, so it won't really matter at that point, but you know, we're getting close to that first freeze here. Huh. So, you know, talk about finding Native American artifacts here all the time. I have found 3 arrowheads, soapstone bowl fragments, and some pottery fragments. So I know they lived here, But this is actually kind of cool because I was just walking in the garden. I don't know if you can see it. See if we can get it focused. That is actually a piece of debitage. So this is clearly something that was chipped by man in my garden. So that is the remnants of someone who was making a tool. And it's just one of the cool things we find. So it's kind of a neat little find sitting there on the top of the ground. We had rain a couple days, and that usually helps. But I've been doing a little archaeology over there, sifting, hoping to get something. But I sifted all that, and then I walk up on this. That's pretty awesome. Well, I appreciate y'all joining me here on the final little tear out of the tomatoes. A couple things I'm going to do still is I'm going to pull these out because we have the tractor now. At the real end of the season, I am going to take the rippers through here and I'm going to definitely tear this up a lot more. My tiller broke last year, so I couldn't do a couple of the in-between tills that I tried to get the grass down. So I think this year I should be able to get the grass in this area pretty much gone. Of course, we have to open up the other garden over there, which I plan on doing just before we start getting freezes and get that set up. And other than that, like, subscribe, and share if you really enjoy the content. I appreciate all my viewers and taking the time out of your day to watch me on my journey here, learning how to garden in the homestead. And hopefully it just gets better and I learn more, and we learn something together. We got to find a Native American piece of debitage that was neat. If you don't know what debitage is just basically it's human garbage that is left over from tool making. It's the best way to do it. They're chips, and I love finding them because they're all over the property, just like the Native American other stuff that I find. And to me, it puts you in your place of knowing 3,000 years ago, because the soapstone bowls and the Savannah points date to that point, someone was here setting up camp. They didn't make tools and they didn't use pottery typically if it wasn't a camp. So most likely on this part where we're farming, the natives would come up from the lowland during the warmer months in camp. This was probably their camp. This is where they would live, and they would run around here and experience this land and get food from it. And to know that was done 3,000 to say 4,000 year range ago, it's humbling sometimes. It really, like I said, it puts you in your place of how small you are in time. And I love it. Just like looking up at the Milky Way. The Milky Way puts you in your place. With that said, have a good one.